A couple of weeks ago, I did a video on what I called my worst Vegas golf experience ever. And wow, did that video get lots of views and comments and all kind of things. And then something a little bit unexpected happened. The general manager from that course reached out and called me and asked if we could sit down and talk. And we did. And we had a very kind, polite, no anger, no harsh words conversation. And so I want to give you their perspective and an update on some things that are changing and improving at that course. So in response to that previous video, I've had lots of favorable comments and thank yous and some that were not so favorable, and I get it. I always want to be fair, and the course has been very good to me and very responsive and open. And so let's talk about what was going on there. First, let's talk about the course conditions. They weren't very good on the day that I had the experience that I posted about, but let me be fair for the course. It's August in Nevada. It's 100 million degrees every day. It's crazy hot. The course gets a lot of play. It's difficult to maintain the course. Something else, and I don't want to get into politics, but we have a government here in southern Nevada that pretends like we have a water crisis that we do not have. The fact is, the population of Las Vegas has more than doubled in the last 15 years, and yet water consumption is down. And yet, the local government is still attacking golf courses for watering their grass, and Revere got an $80,000 fine for using what the government says is too much water. By the way, a country club in our area was fined $600,000, and they just paid it. That's a lot of money. And so Revere, one of their courses, has a grass type that requires more water. And so they made a decision to shut down the Lexington course on weekdays this summer, only open on the weekends. And that means that the Concord course, which was the course I was on, gets a lot more play, and you're going to expect the conditions to be a little worse. And most of the courses in southern Nevada in the very heat of the summer, especially with a lot of play, are going to have course conditions in their fairways that are less than desirable. There's only maybe 7 courses in town that have absolutely immaculate conditions right now, and those are much more expensive courses. Now, the condition of the greens, part of that is because of the wear and the play, and part of that is because players don't do much of a job of fixing ball marks, and that stinks and that's awful. I personally think the course could manage and do a little bit better there. But fairness to them, the course has had lots of extra play, and that damages the conditions which are already difficult to maintain in this heat. Now, with regard to the bunkers are hard to maintain in this part of the world because the course is hilly. Wind blows a lot of the sand out. When we get rain, the 5 inches a year, and it floods, it washes the sands out of the bunkers. So the bunkers at Revere, in all fairness, have always had a lot of rocks. The course manager was honest and looked me in the eye and said he recognizes and understands that the bunkers are an area that they need to work on in future improvements. Let's talk about improvements that the course has planned. They made a huge infrastructure investment in a new pump system that controls the water flow for both of the courses. That'll improve their situations. They're doing an overseed in October, and both courses will be closed for 3 weeks. They're switching the grass on the Lexington course to a type of grass which will require less water, and that will help them with the local government and also the overall maintenance of both Lexington and Concord courses. So some of the poor conditions are not without a legitimate reason, and the course is working on making some improvements and changements to correct those. Now let's talk about the situation on the day of that video. This is the first year they've ever tried starting people in the early mornings on the first tee and the 10th tee at the same time, sending groups off of both tees, which caused the backup and the situation. This is the first year they've done that, and they felt like they had to do that because it's super hot summertime. Nobody wants an 11 or 12 o'clock tee time, and so everybody wants to get off early. They could get the golfers on the course. So it wasn't the course, and it's not the course being greedy, trying to get more players on. It's trying to get everybody who wants to play that day on at a time where they won't potentially die of heat stroke. And I get that. I personally don't like the dual starts on 1 and 10, but I get it from the course's perspective in managing that. And so that's fine. Here's what they tell me should have happened on the day in question, but did not happen. I should have received an email, and everybody who had a tee time that day should have received an email that told them, this is your tee time for hole 1, this is your tee time for hole 10. For instance, you're going off of hole 1 at 6:29 a.m. You're going off of hole 10 at 8:29 a.m. And if you're early to hole 10, you'll have to wait. That would have been fair. If I had gotten an email like that, and I understand, I've been told that a few select people have gotten it. Some people got it. Most people did not. Maybe an employee dropped the ball or something, whatever. But if I had received that email, I personally would have chosen not to play, but we wouldn't have had an issue. Clean, clear communication telling me what the situation is all I want. Played a course early this morning that actually lost their water system, completely lost it for 2 weeks. It took them 12 days to get the parts in. Nobody in the Las Vegas Valley had the 14-inch piping and connections and supplies they wanted had to be shipped in. They told us that the course was not in good shape, gave a discounted tee time, but everybody in the world knew that. No complaints. That's all you can ask for. And by the way, it's coming back nicely for those of you who know which course that is. So again, not an ideal situation, but somebody made a mistake and didn't get the news communicated. That's forgivable. That happens. And again, Revere's made a huge investment in infrastructure. They're going to be closed, both courses, for 3 weeks in October to overseed, make some improvements in multiple situations. They acknowledge and agreed with me that the bunkers are an area of concern that needs some improvement, and they're trying to do the right thing. So I'm glad the course reached out and I could have this conversation with the GM. I'm glad that they are aware of the situation, that they're working on making some improvements, and hopefully it'll be a lot better. I'll give you an update in October or November after the overseed and give you an update on the conditions after they make these improvements and go through the overseed. So now let's get back to rolling putts, reading greens, and enjoying the game we love. I post new videos every week with putting tips, green reading tips, and more. And here's the drill that'll improve your putting and green reading. Like, subscribe, comment on this video below, share it with a buddy who needs to know the information. And until next time, here's to you making more putts.